Hi, my name is Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses with Healthy Black Woman, and this is Shaquita Graham with LovingTheBlackMan.com, and she's also the founder of Ateco.com. How are you doing today, Shaquita?
I'm doing really good, Noma. How are you?
Good. So we were discussing this article that we both saw at Gossip, and I'm just going to quickly jump in and read a little bit from it. It's about a basketball player called Gilbert, and he put out this post that is a little hard to believe, but I'll read it. He says, "Am I the only dude blocking any girl from Flint right now? Ha ha ha. Sorry, ladies, but your dirtiness is public. You've been washing that ass with dirty lead water for months. Can't be effing with you." He actually said the word. I'm just saying effing. "With no sour puss. Hit me when you move to 8 Mile. And then he says, ha ha ha, sorry, I couldn't help myself. LOL. So what was your reaction when you heard this story? Or at least read it?
You know, my reaction was, I'm just shaking my head because people don't realize how serious these things are right now. This is a scandal. This is a crisis. It's scandalous because people are starting to report that this may have been intentional by the government to poison this water. And these people are indeed being poisoned. And this is a majority black town, from my understanding. And the governor or the people in charge of this government kind of premeditated this based on reports that I've seen. They've uncovered an email from Sue McCormick, who was she's the Detroit Water and Sewage Department director, who said she was willing to negotiate with them so that they could continue getting their water, the healthy water they were getting. So for someone in the black community to make a joke about this, you're making a joke about something that could be a symptom of our own genocide. So I don't see what's funny about it.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because we've been hearing a lot about the Black Lives Matter movement. And, sadly, the Flint, Michigan crisis or scandal is just another thing that contradicts that message. And then for a young black man to come out and make jokes and kind of, oh, no, you're too dirty and so forth, while there are other celebrities who are actually jumping in and helping. I want to also go back to the article and say that then he posted a pile of cash, and he says, he has a little note saying, donating to, can't spell, he says, donating TWOO, clean yo ass Flint THOTS. So he's calling them the dirty asses. He's calling them thoughts. And just because they've been victimized, he further victimizes them by making fun of them. And I know he thought it was funny. And, there are probably some people who laugh right along with him. But I want to ask you, how much do you think this, in the big picture, plays into the value that we place on black women in general?
I think that it's about black women and black lives. So black women, because of course this is a majority black town or whatnot. So we know that a lot of black women and children are being affected. And I don't think that, again, if this was a town of all white people, number one, they probably wouldn't be getting poisoned. But if they were, it would be such a crisis. It would be such a boo-hoo fest, the poor, and people tend not to strike out and target and make light of scenarios, with white women involved in it, just like they're doing with the whole Bill Cosby thing. Is like, oh my goodness. But then you get Daniel Holtzclaw and it's like, what happened? We don't know what happened and we don't want to cover it. But my thing is with this is how much money does it take for you to like sell out your community? I mean, you're sitting on all of this money and this fame, and you could be talking about this in a way to bring light to the scenario, but instead you're making these garbage jokes out of it. It kind of reminds me of like what Jaden Smith is saying, like, oh yeah, you would be wearing a dress too if somebody gave you $10 million. That was his comment about being in the women's campaign for Louis Vuitton. So it's like, oh yeah, I could sell out the Black community as long as I'm rich.
Okay, wow, I didn't know about those comments. And I just want to go back a little bit and say that Daniel, I can't remember the pronunciation of his last name, Holzclaw, is that policeman in, what state was it?
I'm not sure what state that was in.
I'm going to remember. I think it was Oklahoma, who raped and assaulted and did all kinds of things to 12, 13, 14 women, somewhere around there. And, you know, the good news is he did end up getting sentenced to over 200 years in prison. And we saw pictures of him boo-hoo crying, and he was crying for himself, I imagine, and not necessarily for what he had done. But back to the topic on hand, what I was going to say was, to me, what is so disheartening, I mean, the whole Flint, Michigan crisis is disheartening. But what's disheartening to me is this erosion of the relationships between Black men and Black women, where we're supposed to look for the Black men to be our protectors and our providers. And this guy comes out, and the best he can do is a joke about how filthy these women are, and then another joke about how he's going to send that money, which actually I can't imagine he's actually going to send. He's not going to send that money. He's just making a joke. And that to me is very sad, because I think that part of the building of any community is, that belief by the women that the men are there for them, and that belief by the men that the women are standing side by side with them and they're building something. And I think that sometimes people don't think about the bigger picture or the big implications of some of their actions. And that to me it felt hurtful. It felt like such a huge step back, even though it was supposed to be a little joke. And I think that sometimes we miss those kinds of things, that it's just this constant erosion, that every time that a Black man calls a Black woman a thought, what are the other words, chicken head, bitch, hoe, all that, it's such an erosion of why would any woman want to put herself in a position to be vulnerable to a man like that, or to a man who could possibly be like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, in order for our community to overcome many of the things that we're facing, we definitely have to be protective of one another. We have to be protective of the Black man, the Black woman, and the Black child, because we're being attacked on all of those fronts. So, if you have an enemy that's targeting you, when somebody sees an opportunity where you're not protecting your children, that's when you get books like the birthday cake for George Washington. You're not protecting your women. That's when you see the police come in your neighborhood. And Daniel Holzclaw, I think like 18 of those cases were thrown out. Only 13 got prosecuted. So they feel like they can come in your community and do this because nobody's watching. So we all have to watch each other's backs. And I mean, I'm happy to say that I did see a lot of people donating water and donating money. Sean Combs, P. Diddy, he's a partner with Mark Wahlberg in a water company that's donating like 5,000 cases of water. So there are people who are out here doing the right thing, but when we see somebody like this doing the wrong thing, we need to come at that with a vengeance, because that is a weak link, and that is an area where a perpetrator will try to find their way in. So I'm glad that we're talking about this.
Absolutely. And on that note, I of course I agree with you. On that note, I just want to remind everybody that this is my good friend Shaquita Graham, who actually is the founder of lovingtheblackman.com. So, she's a person who advocates for the building of the Black community. And rather than turn her eye on all the things that we could say are wrong or inadequate or whatever about Black men, she chooses to take her lens and focus on the good things that we can find. And that's something that I commend very much. So thank you, Shaquita, for joining me in this conversation. And again, my name is Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses with HealthyBlackWoman.com, and this has been a segment of Your Black Women, Will Black Women Keep It Real. Thank you for watching.